93 million miles away, the weather can get a little dicey. Storms are brewing on the sun.
So the sun has these periodic eruptions where suddenly a dense part of the upper atmosphere will suddenly be ejected into interplanetary space.
There's particle radiation and there's electric and magnetic fields, and they're blowing from the sun to the Earth at supersonic speeds.
They can penetrate into the electric distribution system.
With support from the National Science Foundation, these solar plasma physicists at the University of Michigan study solar storms as they form and then barrel off the sun, sometimes hitting Earth with damaging force. We need to know how to better predict them, and that means understanding what triggers them in the first place.
Oh, that's great. We don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of competing theories on what triggers it.
Chip Manchester studies the genesis and evolution of solar weather.
So this gives a sense of how huge this is in scale.
That includes both solar flares and those dramatic eruptions that are technically called coronal mass ejections.
We absolutely know for certain that it's magnetic energy that is the source of the flare energy and what's driving the coronal mass ejections. So this is all electromagnetic effects and charged particles interacting on an enormous scale.
Dan Welling's work focuses on what happens when solar storms hit the Earth.
And when these currents flow very close to the Earth, they can couple into anything on the ground that can conduct electricity. Power lines, pipelines, and these are currents that our power grid system specifically was not made to handle.
Satellites are vulnerable too.
Satellites are really naked in space to the effects of space weather.
Tomasz Gambasi heads up the space weather team and says they take a multidisciplinary approach to developing space weather modeling tools. The goal is a 5-day forecast capability.
5-day forecast is needed so that the government and the private industry, the satellite operators, the power grid companies can take necessary action to protect the national critical infrastructure.
Right now, they can't predict storms that far out, but they're working on it diligently because they know stronger and potentially more damaging storms are coming sooner or later.
You know, it's similar to like earthquakes or something. There's lots and lots of little earth tremors that go on all the time. One that's on, Richter scale 9 is a very rare event, but they do happen. And so we have that case that the more extreme, the more rare they are. But certainly they have happened, and there's a distinct possibility within the next 10 to 20 years that we will have a major event.
Improving forecasts for space weather now so we can protect ourselves when the big ones strike. For Science Nation, I'm Miles O'Brien.